Capital Markets Subcommittee.
So thank you. And let me follow up on the questioning that the gentleman was just talking about the negative, disastrous impact that the Fed has had on the African-American community and the poor in this country. You know, last year you gave a speech on income inequality, and you said that the income gaps between the rich and the poor has long been an interest to you in the Federal Reserve, and you expressed concern about that. And basically, your comments were eerily similar to what the administration has been saying. You lamented the problem, but failed to acknowledge in your comments that it is your actions and the Fed and the government policies that can have a dramatic impact on the expansion of the gap between the rich and the poor. In fact, we were often reminded by the Federal Reserve and our president how low-income families have fallen behind during this administration's last 8 years. We've seen the greatest monetary expansion in regular assault in history, and I think there's no coincidence. So let's look at your predecessor, what he said. Chair Bernanke acknowledged on more than one occasion that monetary policy has the effect of raising asset prices, in particular the stock market. I'm sure you agree with him. And the question then we have is, who does that really benefit? Who does your policy benefits? Let me give you a number. According to Gallup, a survey, 90% of households with over $75,000 own stock. Only 21% of households under $30,000 own stock. So if your policies, as Ben Bernanke indicated it does, and you're nodding your head as well, benefits the stock market, raises asset prices, who are you benefiting? The rich. Who are you hurting? The poor. So the stock market has boomed. The biggest beneficiary have been households with income well above the national median, in particular those at the very top, where the wealth in the stock market is concentrated. So that's what the gentleman is pointing out. Your policies, he's looking for leadership, but leadership to lead in the other direction, not always helping the rich, but hurting the poor. Another area that we see is where you take the pattern of helping the rich and not the poor is in where does the average poor person under $30,000 put their money? In the stock market? No. They put it into savings accounts. Now, according to the FDIC, the average rate of return on a savings account in America is 6 basis points. At the same time, you are paying Wall Street banks 50 basis points to park their money over there. So the question is, why do you see the need to benefit the Goldman Sachs CEOs of the world and pay them more than the small local banks on Main Street where my constituents have to invest their money? Do you see a need to benefit the rich continuously to the disadvantage of the poor? Why is that?
Well, I'm sorry, we're not trying to benefit the rich at the expense of the poor.
So your statement is your intention is not to benefit the rich, but the facts with Ben Bernanke and others, and what you're nodding your head is, your actions are benefiting the rich over the poor because of your monetary policy. Is that correct?
It is not correct.
Well, which part is not? Is it not the fact, is Gallup wrong when he says the rich are more likely to invest in the stock markets than the poor? Is that not correct?
That is true, but
that
that's
is true.
Only...
Is it not true that your quantitative easing, according to Bernanke, also benefits asset purchases and asset increases? Is that fact true?
14 million jobs is what our policies...
Excuse me, I have the floor. I'm trying to find out which fact is wrong. The fact of the matter is that the rich own stock. You said yes. The fact of the matter is that quantitative easing increases asset purchases. You said yes. Asset prices. You said yes. The fact of the matter is that you're indicating yes, that is increasing the valuation of stock. You're indicating yes. And the fact of the matter is that for the average poor person, they're not in the stock market. They're in banks. You're saying yes. So all those facts are correct.
Houses are widely held by most families, and low interest rates have also,
but as far as where most people have their investments,
have also benefited from rising house prices.
Well, part of the problem is that although you admit here today that is not your intention to help the rich over the poor, what you're nodding to me on yes on every point that I raise is that the monetary policy of the Federal Reserve over the last several years of your tenure benefits the rich over the poor and creates a greater expansion of income inequality.
I'm sorry.
Let me just go on to the next question. I only have a minute here. With regard to your balance sheet, I can't get into all the details here as far as the significant increase over time and the increase in the risk that in the market. I understand the question was already raised to you whether you do a stress test on yourself, and your answer to that question was no.
Yes, we have.
You do stress tests like you do on the banks on yourself?
We have performed that exercise.
And do you believe then that interest rates risk and credit risks that of your portfolio and this position that it is now is at a greater risk than it was before when it was?
We have no credit risk in our portfolio. We only hold government and agency.
You are not immune. You are immune to credit rate risk.
Well, I think U.S. Treasury bonds are a pretty safe investment.